to match this. I mean, they tried the Kalista last game, like we said. I'm not sure if that's the best angle. Maybe we see the Elk Vayne. That looked pretty good now. But now WE has choice of jungle. So the Lee Sin going over to them, they have potential to take it if Beishang wants to play it.
Yeah, and Leona is available too, so they can do something like that and still play for team fights, even if they're risking. Oh! That's the call you're looking for. Yeah, I guess locked in.
There it is.
God damn it, Dom.
All right. Yeah, this is the strategy. So, I mean, this is something that we've seen in LPL. This is more of an LNG thing, but I mean, we talked about it. WE is also a team with a Vayne player on it. I'm personally a little bit of a hater on this strategy. I'll admit my bias. Every single time LNG picked it, I was like, man, this is never going to work. But it seems like, you know, sometimes WE can get to these late game situations where they're able to have the threat of the pick. I just think that RNG, when they're playing well, is a good enough team to punish the early game where you really just have to deal with the fact that your Vayne is scaling. I mean, you want the shield bow, the wit's end, and you want the Ginsu's coming in. And that's when the Vayne really gets strong, is on those 3 items. So I think RNG is a good enough team to actually still ball through.
I mean, we already see, look, Lee Sin coming through. There's the Malzahar. Normally, it comes through as a response to the mid lane, but Cryin just pulls it out. And against an Olaf, I mean, RNG Raz, that is the left turn.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one, especially knowing that Olaf is available and Beishang can play it. I'm looking at the mid lane 2v2 now and saying that I think Malzahar is going to get pretty much targeted here. So I'd want to see a roaming support here from RNG side. Not the set ban. I think Leona is another great ban here. I want to see what Ming is willing to play.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure about how this Malzahar is going to fare into an Olaf. I mean, Olaf is the type of champion that would be ideal against an immobile mid laner. So I think that now you kind of see what RNG is going to want. I really like the Lucian ban, but Jayce is still up, which could also function in that same type of identity. You could go like a phase rush Jayce into the Olaf. So I think that this is something that we might see from RNG, but definitely based on the draft, RNG need to pick an AD top laner. So that's already known by WE. WE could go into the second draft phase knowing that if they pick a champion top lane that's really good into AD champs, that's going to be relatively useful in this game.
Especially when we talked about how important the top lane matchup is as well. I mean, things like Gna still available, but we've got a composition that we don't normally see together. Ziggs, Malzahar, 2 mages in line. I like that you bring up an AD top laner for Xiaohu because he has a pretty wide champion pool, but the takeaway of Jayce Raz, that's already something that Xiaohu's now going to have to deal with a very competitive top lane.
Yeah, I think he should be pretty happy about that. It's Team WE that's trying to hold the support counter pick to see what RNG is willing to go for. And if RNG ends up going for the Leona like we were talking about, or just scanning this like a Nautilus or something, that they're willing to play Braum. So the Wukong pick there, just a volatile top lane. That just makes it so Team WE now, if you're Beishang, you want to play towards top side of the map pretty heavily.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that this is actually a really good takeaway by WE on the Jayce. I think RNG would have been really happy getting Jayce top with their team comp, because obviously Jayce provides a little bit of that range damage, some of the poke, and I think that would have been a great pick. And now, I mean, this Olaf is looking pretty much like a turbo pick for WE into RNG's team comp. I mean, it's definitely not the most insane matchup in terms of just jungle 1v1 versus the Lee Sin. But when you look at overall the identity of the champions on RNG, most of their peel comes from CC, and Olaf just ignores all of that.
That's true. And you add another tool into that mix if you pick up the Tahm Kench here as well, flexing around the Morgana. But Tahm here for missing has been a pretty good pick, especially with the Vayne. Now, Ryze, start here on WE's side. Run me through what this comp wants to do. We already talked about how they had to make a reaction. A lot of good scaling here from mid and AD carry.
Yeah, I think they just want to go straight front to back. It's going to be really problematic for Cryin. He doesn't really have too much of a target, I guess, the Ryze, but there's just so many threats here from the Olaf, from the Vayne, that they don't really have to play these fights any cute at all. And if they can get peppered by Jayce Shock Blast, then that'd be even better.
On the other side, RNG. Oh, sorry, Dom.
For me personally, when I look at WE's draft, I'm torn, right? Because like I said, I'm a Vayne hater, but I actually think that WE have a much better draft in this game than game 1. So I think that this is really like them being set up for success by their coach here.
So in game 2, run me through, gentlemen, what you think, because it was an RNG 3-1. You've given yourself that breathing game. Game 2 for WE versus RNG, starting with you.
You're expecting these two teams to play it all out.
Yeah, I think this one's a lot more interesting, like the AD was saying. A lot of cool answers coming out from the side of WE. I think they have a bit of options in terms of how they can play out the game, right? You have the Jayce and the Ryze, so some side lane potential coming out. You have ability to answer with things like the Abyssal Dive from Tahm Kench, but also the front to back, not too bad. You do have a lot of range to play with coming out from that Jayce as well. So for RNG, it feels a bit more like a pick comp to me, Ender.
Yeah, it definitely does, and I also feel like maybe it's a little bit slower to come online. Like, you look at a Malzahar lane, pretty difficult to play around pre-level 6, post-level 6, super free. Top lane too, I think Wukong, once he gets access to his ultimate, that's often when you see junglers sort of called in to try and attack these ranged top laners, maybe even Ming as well, get back to the basics for RNG and hit that top lane. So pre-levels 1 through 5, I don't actually expect to see that much come through from RNG, similar to in the last game where it was Team WE the first ones to strike.
I think that's the big thing as well we were looking towards this game, is that for WE you have to be proactive. You have to be trying to get yourself back into a winning position to a certain extent. I feel with the Olaf particularly, you're looking for those early game skirmishes. We'll see if it is any different. We are going to see though the Wukong running straight into the Jayce.
He's ganking his own lane,
He's
Penguin.
ganking his own lane. We are going to see a bit of a trade back here, both getting their Conqueror procs off, but this is just a solid trade for Xiaohu. He kind of needs to get that early one off.
Yeah, so this is a bit of an uncomfortable trade, because the thing is, like, Xiaohu, what he's basically doing is deciding to make the lane super volatile, which if you don't then play off of that, you're just passively losing this, playing a melee champion into the Jayce here. So you'll notice both junglers start on the bottom side of the map and are pathing top lane, so it could actually be a little bit spicier more quickly than I was anticipating.
Yeah, and I think for RNG, right, even though you really don't want to make anything happen pre-level 6, top is really the only avenue you have to go for something, right? You can look to have Xiaohu go in, combo with the burst coming out from Lee Sin, Jayce extremely squishy, and take him down. For WE side, not really having any lockdown in that top side 2v2 either, so could be left open to more skill expression. For WE, it is a lot more about mid-jungle, in my opinion, like Raz and Dom are hitting on.
Yeah, and I think as well, you're seeing the volatility. The Wukong goes in, picked up a long sword and 3 pots, knows that he's trying to just basically get the push, get reset, and get him out of what is a difficult early game for the Wukong. Yes, the Wukong is a soft counter the more the levels go on, but in the early stages, it is very much owned by the Jayce.
Yeah, and the other thing, it's like when you're looking at top jungle 2v2 rather, Olaf does get through his jungle a little bit quicker, so you can see he's finishing off his Krugs at the same time that Wei is just going to be polishing off that blue buff too with top lane priority. Beishang should be securing Crab.
Oh, it should be fine in that bot side. We do see Ming going back in with the dredge line, but needs to be very, very careful. Ziggs not really known for his 2v2ing ability, but we're going to see the mid lane, Cryin, forcing him Shanks out. Shanks has no mana.
Yeah, but if Shanks was trying to get a reset off, and if he was able to TP back into the topside river, it would be free. Instead, Wei actually steals away the Crab.
He steals away the Crab, but he's going to trade his life for it. Wei being chased down by a very angry Viking. Does have to get the safeguard away. With Breed having that push in topside, maybe very difficult for Xiaohu to come back down and help.
Yeah, also pretty dicey situation. I think for the side of RNG, they're actually lucky that Shanks did end up going back and just using his TP in the mid lane, because if not, could have been a really rough situation for Xiaohu. Potentially could have gotten a dive off. That isn't what's going to happen, though. You do see Wei actually still around the top half of the map, to where Beishang, with losing out on that top side scuttle, is going to make his way down to the bottom lane. And for W, it's so nice, right? We've seen they've had 3 lanes of prio pretty much all early game.
Yeah, and it makes the topside Crab steal even like better for Wei, because with both side lanes and mid having prio, and you're also in a losing early jungle matchup where Olaf just clears the camps faster, B2 in duels in these early levels, to even just get one of those Crabs is going to be a minor win. Now back into the Rift, both top laners have used their TP. Cryin has held on to his and actually just walked all the way back towards mid, and I feel like this plays exactly into the style of Cryin, what we saw in game number 1 as well. He has TP now to influence both top or bot lane once Shanks gets level 6 and tries to influence the map.
That's the thing I love about RNG's comp once again overall, and the fact that they've changed it up and brought out the Ziggs priority, is the fact that now, you know, running these triple TP compositions, they can just make so many plays around the map. If Cryin has to come and answer bot play, and you can still go back up to playing towards top side. Gala will be just fine. Nice use of the satchel charge coming out. But point is, right, you always have a member to answer for wherever a play's happening, especially up against a comp like WE. Sure, you have a pretty good front-to-back team fight, but a comp that does want to utilize side lanes as well, it makes it very hard for WE to do that.
I think the big thing as well for WE, they want to be kind of approaching fights with the poke from Jayce coming down, peppering down down those health bars, not allowing Gala or even, you know, the likes of Cryin to let them set their feet down to throw back that damage.
Yeah, and Team WE, in order to get to that stage, are going to have to keep their guard out coming up fairly soon. Both Cryin and Xiaohu going to be level 6, and I mean, Ming too, the roams towards a mid lane with a malzahar to set up is going to be so unleashed here. So vision in river, making sure you know where Ming and Wei are on the map pretty much at all times. They can't influence these solo lanes in particular. I think it's going to be absolutely critical for Team WE in the next few minutes.
Yeah, and I feel like a crucial part of all of that is, we're going to see Beishang clear ward. I think Xiaohu will be okay spotting this out. For RNG's composition, they just have so many ways to CC targets down. Penguin, maybe getting a bit spicy?
A little bit spicy. Missing will have that great health. They are going to try and turn this one around. Ming taking a very punishing trade. We're going to see the top side though, 2v2. Cyclone has been hit. The Sonic Wave follows them all the way to the turret. Perfectly done by RNG.
The second level 6 comes through from the Wukong. Wei is there to punish. Doesn't even care that Beishang was there. He just saw him on the top side, but they have the burst, and that is why you pick the Wukong up against the Jayce.
Yeah, the decisiveness coming out from RNG as well, just beautiful. And we saw yesterday what Lee Sins are able to do. Once again, feels like the Qs just don't miss. And for RNG being able to pick up those kills, but a point I was trying to hit on earlier, right? If RNG can blow the flashes from WE, their comp is so hard to play out. You just have so many tools to lock down the key carries of WE.
And those tools are going to be coming online soon. Before we check out the replay, gotta say, Ming was just walking back onto the top side of the map, so I think Flash was blown by the Jayce in this play. Oh, you gotta keep that in mind here, because it's a whole party going up to the top lane.
They are going to put down the Hearth, and Breeze gets hooked down. The dredge line is absolutely perfect. Kick back, donated to Xiaohu. RNG starting exactly what they want to do in that top side.
And Ender just called it right. After the flash is blown, we see Ming pathing up there. And this is the RNG that the LPL fans know. Ming playing up towards the top side, being another support for Xiaohu. Again, Xiaohu kind of living the dream that Uzi used to live. All resources going to one key carry. But now WE at least going to get something on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, I'm like, I remember a little bit of that from MSI. You know, it didn't feel good to play against. That is for sure. But like you're saying, Lyric, these cross-map plays, Team WE, this is something that was very much lacking for them in Game 1. Good to see them reacting to the topside play. Breathe, going to be very unhappy with how that went, especially with losing 2 turret plates in the process. But Team WE gets something in return.
And then we see just how important this Lee Sin was. We were questioning not picking it up, ban or pick in the last game, and we can see how powerful it can be. Of course, massive pick in our series yesterday, and today looks like it's going to be another massive pivotal pick for the jungle.
Yeah, and you just have so much set up for it, right? Nautilus, malzahar, Wukong, so many ways to set up the Q and the burst coming out from the Lee Sin. And talking about the malzahar, just because we haven't talked about the mid lane matchup that much, Shanks has been able to come out ahead. Ryze actually a pretty decent pick into malzahar in early levels, in my opinion. Also, you have an easy time just clearing out the little voidlings because Ryze just has such a ridiculous amount of wave clear. But still, later on in the game, right, the suppress going to come in pretty clutch for setting up the damage from both Lee Sin and Ziggs.
I also think that Malzahar can be pretty nice at matching Ryze roams. Not in the sense that you have a global, but when Ryze actually gets prio against you and pushes out the wave, Malzahar can just drop all his abilities and leave. So they clear the wave before, like, as he's already gone, so you can catch up on a little bit of time in that regards. And of course, we already mentioned when it comes to like actually shutting down these picks with CC, you can definitely set up for your teammates. That's sort of what my eye is on next for a player like Xiaohu is, do we actually see him roam back towards the mid lane with that guaranteed prio that he's had for a little bit in top lane after those couple ganks and return the favor to the team?
And again, it's just RNG playing the way RNG have all year. It's getting facilitating mid laners into a roaming support, and Gala on something that can self-sustain, self-sufficient to keep him safe in that bot side. The Ziggs, very much a priority pick. They insta-picked it first time. They said, we need this so that we can open up Ming and get him around the map.
Yeah, and it fits RNG's playstyle so well. It was always so weird that RNG didn't really gravitate towards the pick. Gala really being viewed as a bit of a Varus one-trick this split. Had the Kai'Sa Spring, now the Varus, showing, you know, he's a versatile player. He can pick up more champions than meets the eye. Fits their playstyle so well. Now I'm curious to see where RNG will go with the Rift Herald. They've been playing up a lot towards topside. That is the RNG bread and butter. And even for WE, not really having that much wave clear to where you'd have to care too much about mid.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it might just be this top lane, right, because the tower was already taken pretty low. You can threaten a dive. It doesn't necessarily have to be right now, but in the next couple of minutes, at least, you can drop that Herald, set up for a very easy dive. You look at it, Gala technically has TP, probably wouldn't want to use it to get to the top side unless he took a reset right now, in which case it could be be decent with Ming roaming top, it can be a little bit dangerous to go bot himself. He just wants to use that ultimate to clear out the wave while the rest of his team hits top lane.
Oh no, Breathe. He thinks he's safe. He thinks I've cleared the vision this time round. I've done it properly. But no, you are not safe from the top side gang, from the top side focus. It's a campsite up there for Wei, and it's going to be another kill going over to Xiaohu. And they're going to go jumping onto the Nautilus. Ming trying to roam around and see if they could punish it again, but with the Rift Herald dropping, that's tier 1 top going down. Very much bog standard for RNG.
Man, it just feels so rough for Breathe. A standout top laner of the split getting punished so heavily by RNG, but Realm Warp.
Cryin did have to flash. We do see a good dredge line, but he's going to have the Rune Prism popping down. The Exhausters to try and slow him off. The W is going to change his course. Ming trying to get himself over the wall. Does have flash available. Not going to use it. Shanks picks up a kill. And while that was all happening, the rest of RNG got themselves the hell out of top.
Yeah, I mean, Ming's going to die there every single time, so good on him to hold on to that flash. But you have to go and look at the entire game plan from RNG. Using the Herald into the top side, they get the kill, they get it all. And because of this Ziggs, the power of that pick, he uses a Q, maybe an ultimate, he instantly clears the wave in the bot side. They can't respond and try to dive him in turn. So RNG just with a great early game sequence there to jump out 2,000 ahead.
I feel like that's a big thing, right? Not being able to answer on the opposite side like you just said, Under. Having a Vayne in a Tahm Kench is going to be quite hard to dive something like a Ziggs, not having the same amount of lockdown or burst like you did in your last bottom lane 2v2. And now for WE, who would like to have their soul laners ahead, with Jayce being set so far behind, with Ryze not really able to find an impact, I feel like RNG's comp is in such a good position, and it goes back to what I remember Dom saying earlier in the draft, that RNG's a team you can count on to be able to snowball a game cleanly.
And the big thing as well, you look at WE, even looking at Shanks on this Ryze, you're thinking, okay, did they ever frost up? He had to go for that QSS. He cannot risk getting full on, nether grafts and getting taken down. I'm imagining Elk, after he picks up his Immortal Shield Ball, will have to do something relatively similar if he's not around his Tahm Kench at all times.
All right, so junglers down towards this bottom side of the map. I feel like Shanks definitely wants to get into a position where he can try to influence the rest of the map, but it has not been easy with how RNG have just sort of taken things over. Missing and Elk have sort of been locked in this bottom lane, and yeah, the Xiaohu roams that top lane priority, always going to be a threat. So with Dragon spawning in 10 seconds, Xiaohu just walks down mid, pushes Shanks back underneath the tower, pushes in the wave, and that should be a pretty easy Drake secure for RNG.
Yeah, and I just love that we have top laners like Xiaohu who do this. We do have a lot of selfish top laners here in the LPL, the Bins, the Shies of the world, but people like Xiaohu, we've seen Flandre also good at this as well, realizing, hey, there's really nothing to do up in topside. Breathe also does look like he's freezing that wave, so really opening up RNG to make this play on the opposite side. Now we're going to see how RNG can push this forward even more for the fact that, again, Breathe is holding that wave up there.
And again, similar to game 1, WE have They have a very short-range comp. They have a team that needs to be very close to you in order to put down that damage. Vayne, not exactly known for her range, and now we can see RNG pressuring this bot side.
Yeah, so Gala actually TP'd back into bot lane. This says they want to keep the pressure up. Forget top lane, forget mid. It's 5 players in the bot lane for RNG.
They only have 1 TP on Breed, so this is a 4v5 at best here for WE, but Shanks is roaming around. Mega Inferno Bomb does come down to try to jump onto the support. Missing goes Golden. They're buying a lot of time. Not a lot of damage comes down. There we go. The Catfish ends up being taken out. Now we can see Xiaohu forced to flash away to go straight back in. 3-man Cyclone, but he's by himself. RNG did not get the memo, Lyric.
It's so tragic. The wave was gone. No one else able to follow up. Xiaohu thought, hey, they're funneled into a choke. I see the perfect angle, but no one able to follow. Still, RNG going to hang around and try to get some damage on this turret.
Oh, here we go. Dredge line in, and they find Shanks to try and turn this one around. Ming tanking the turret for now. One more auto attack from the Vayne would have been enough, but they cannot find that kill. While that's all been happening, Breathe happy to be playing PvE.
Yeah, he's getting the plates in topside. Now the plates have actually broken off as Elk takes a nice little trade. Not a nice trade anymore after getting hit by the Gala.
Oh dear, and now it's going to be Missing coming back into the lane, but I don't think you want to be here, buddy. You just cannot stay here by yourself. He does get himself back. They are fairly low health bars here for the side of RNG. They will eventually take the tower.
Painful, just absolutely painful. They don't get the plates in the bot side. I think that was one of the original ideas from RNG. It's like, oh, we have the Ziggs, so we can actually cheat and get all the plates right before those end up dropping. But all in all, it is RNG extending their gold lead by another 1,000. They got the Drake on top of it too, and just maintaining the pressure against WE is something that RNG are so good at once they have a lead.
Yeah, and like we said, right, RNG having the members down here. Xiaohu, of course, did go down trying to look for that play earlier, but I love the decisiveness coming out from RNG. They realize that some key tools are down, like the Ragnarok, like no ultimate on Vayne. They decide to go for it, easily able to pick off the Ryze. And then Beishang as well, not in a good spot. I think he does end up getting away. And then this was the tragic one, right? L just continuously getting chipped down by the bombs. The Leandres is there for the burn as well. And man, he's just getting hit by everything.
It just feels so bad there. Gala able to take so much damage on top of him, or bring so much damage on top of him. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb to stop any kind of push. And you can see Elk, he's got the Immortal Shield Bow, but with the Ziggs, we've seen it a million times before, he can just stop any push.
But how insane is Ziggs ult? You can play 3 lanes with players only in 2 of them, right? With just a quick little jaunt down halfway through the jungle, drop that R in the bot lane. Your team is taking Herald on the top side, and that is why this pick is so insanely strong. It immediately stifles any hope of a side map play. You get free priority once you get some items as well. So it's full push in mid, full push in top lane around the Wukong. And the malzahar, Cryin doesn't even have to farm. He's just running around like, ooh, I want to press R on somebody, get a kill.
Yeah, he just gets to play the utility role. But going back to that Ziggs, I feel like the crazy thing to me about Ziggs is the fact that you're really the only AD carry who has a bit of mobility with your satchel charts. It has like the level of wave clear that you do. So you can just so safely play it on 1v2. Sure, Ezreal has the E, but doesn't have the same amount of wave clear to enable these plays on top of, again, having another global for the rest of your team.
Of course, we're talking about all the positives for RNG. WE did opt into letting Breed get that top side. So they were able to get him a lot of farm, get him back into the matchup because he wasn't as far behind as he was before. Still 0-3, so those are not feeling great, but still equaling out that CS, getting himself his Eclipse. So feeling a little bit better coming into these mid-game fights.
Yeah, Breathe is feeling better, but I think it comes at the cost of like Elk not being nearly as happy. Gala, of course, is going to have so much money off of plates and all this stuff. Ooh, the Rift is getting spicy with all of our heat map there, what I assume that ends up being. But yeah, I mean, RNG just continue to play in all these lanes, keep the pressure up, and the other painful thing is how does Beishang actually keep farming when enemy team is just walking in your jungle 24/7?
That's the big thing for me. It's like looking forward, how does WE walk into territory that RNG controls, right? Sure, you have some poke coming out from Breathe, but you have even more poke coming out from Gala from the amount of gold he's been able to pick up. You have a bunch of engage on RNG side, and WE really have done. What are you going to do? Realm Warp Beishang into the backline alone, while again, Breeze's trying to put out poke like from a long range, missing, not really being able to do anything. I feel like it's just so awkward from WE to be able to take space that they have to opt into what they're doing now. They need to opt into cross-mapping.
That's what I was just about to say. They've clearly decided, right, we're going to go 1-3-1. We'll put Ryze and Jayce into the side lanes. We don't care about Dragon coming up in 20 seconds. That's not even close to Soul just yet. We're going to keep Breed bot side, just play safe, get the advantages or get the golden experience where you can.
I feel like that's just like such a big thing that for a long time was underrated, but doesn't really feel like anymore, is just being on objective first. Like how powerful that is, denying vision, making it so hard for whether your team doesn't have engage or doesn't have poke. There's just so many different tools to play around that situation.
Yeah, and I think that also comes down a lot to like the meta and the champions that are being played too, because like when you have like less like giant beefy frontliners that are super happy to sort of walk in and create space in the river, like it's less important in a meta like that to be on the objective first. But when you have a lot of these champions that's about like getting priority over lanes, you know, can you actually set up in the fog of war? Do you have these champions that you want to invite the enemy team to walk into you like a Ziggs? That is going to be so important for your squad. And you can see RNG have now given up control of their bot side because, hey, we just got the Dragon. We don't need that. They're taking a reset anyways, and Xiaohu just has to play a little bit safe.
Xiaohu's got back up a little bit. He just recognized the rest of W are here. You can see there QSS onto missing, so he's had to rush that one there. Not going to be as tanky in these fights. Has to keep himself safe. We were talking about a little bit during the pick and ban before we came on the broadcast that great that you have a Devour, but if you get caught by the Nethergraft, you're not going anywhere, so he has to prioritize that item.
Yeah, you know, Tahm, Kench, a tank. I just want to take it back to what Ender was talking about with tanks, because, you know, guys, I honestly miss tank meta. I miss champions like Maokai. I miss Fiorans. Just, you know, small niche thing about them. They have the most, like, audibly pleasing auto attack sounds on turrets and structures. I love it.
They have to get something pleasing in there.
Maokai is actually really nice. That nice little crunch, you know, as his branches are breaking. It's good stuff.
He gets his passive going. It's like
yeah, I've honestly been watching a lot of the old League of Legends Worlds streams and stuff on Twitch. It's been a lot of fun. I've been enjoying it. I miss slow team fights. Slow team fights are pretty sweet.
I don't miss 55-minute games where nothing happens though. That is definitely not a meta I would
like
appreciate.
a 55-minute game once a month. You know, I could. That's the proper pace for me.
I can't even remember who it was, but the longest game I know there's the Janair one in LCK.
Yes.
There's also the
70 minutes.
I think it was
Robert X. Lee with 800 CS. Yeah. I remember.
It was absolutely insane, but Bagman, take it away.
We're coming back into this game. We see the reptile being bopped down. We're actually going to see them. Beishang gets caught and taken out. Finally, the turret goes down. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb back in on top of this. They're trying to get the Cyclone onto Missing, who's forced to flash back in under his tower. We'll get another charge off of Shelly as WE are pinned back into their base. They don't really have the wave clear right now to deal with these waves, and they're just not able to get anything else off of it.
Gala missed the satchel charge on the turret. I mean, he hit it. It was just like one auto attack away from being able to delete it instantly. Regardless, though, it just feels like RNG are on a completely different level today. From game one until now, the early games have just been so insanely clean. Their control around objectives, and of course, their ability to speed up the pace of the game. Right here, just an instant explosion onto Beishang, who gets bumped back into the team. The ulti is a little bit late, and it's a complete explosion on him.
Yeah, I think RNG just playing, you know, again, very clean coming into this one. Penguin, you highlighted here, W not really having any wave clear to stop any sort of extended sieges coming out from the side of RNG. It is a bit tragic, like Ender said. So close, but not exactly there. And going back to what Ender was just hitting on about RNG, I feel like this is what we saw during the split as well. RNG came out in interviews and said, hey, it took us a lot of time to adapt to the summer split meta. Coming back from MSI, having to quarantine, all the stops, and then now coming into playoffs, getting to play one series. They didn't have the best read on what was going on, but after losing that one, having the time and figuring it out here today.
Woo! Shanks just about getting himself out. Had to dodge
I thought it was
that
almost
silence.
time for a Fnatic pause right there, I'll be honest.
No, he was intending to stay in it, so that's all that matters on that particular one. But this is the issue now you have with Cryin being able to, like you mentioned earlier there, Ender, perma push, drop down the Malefic Visions, get yourself a couple of Voidlings, and you're just able to keep this Shanks pick away. Now, Missing, caught out, no flash this time around. We are going to see them going in, but a good blast cone away keeps both the jungler and support of WE safe.
But still, it's just a ticking time bomb here for Team WE trying to deal with this, because now that you've lost full control over your top side jungle, maybe RNG don't go for Baron immediately, maybe they play towards the Drake, but eventually you're going to have to try and reclaim space in that top side. You're going to have to walk into not even just like the Ziggs necessarily, but all the pick tools that RNG have at their disposal. It is very easy for RNG to just sort of start up the Baron or bait it out. I feel like Team WE at this point need to be switching to like 4 blue trinkets on their team. You just need some tools to reclaim vision to your top side.
I feel like for WE, they really only have one realistic play in my mind, which is trying to commit to the Xiaohu side of the map, right? Sending numerous members down there trying to find the pick. Sure, you set up RNG for potentially starting the Baron, but at least you have 2 TPs available on your soul laners, and then you can try and opt into a numbers advantage fight, because if not, we already hit on it. If your soul laners aren't ahead as WE, you're not retaking space from side lanes, you're never going to be able to outwave clear Ziggs, so you're not going through mid. You can't just blindly walk through your jungle. It's just so rough for them.
Really quickly, I actually wonder if Team WE are going to try to go for the Baron sneak again, just because Beishang actually walked into the pit to try and clear away the control ward, so there's no vision inside the pit, and they could use like the Realm Warp again if they wanted to, but I think RNG are taking this one and covering all the bases, right? You know, regaining control on the top side, making sure that's not going to be a possibility, then they can walk it down and get the Dragon, or even just have Xiaohu solo it.
And the big thing is, you're looking at the items right now. You've got a Ryze Crystal Scepter on top of that Liandry's Torment. You've got the Morellonomicon as well for the Ziggs. Your wave clear and also just straight up your burst coming out from the side of the RNG is just absolutely massive. We are going to see in the minimap there, just going to be able to take the Dragons. That's going to be Soul Point again. Another Infernal Soul going to be available here for RNG, but WE not willing to let this one go just yet. TP going to be committed. We're going in. It's going to be stolen. WE get the Dragon, but the team fight is going to ensue. Double TPs have been brought in. The golden on the blue side. It's over to UE and RNG. You're going full in. Xiaohu is dead, and now RNG are a little bit separated. They trade top laner for jungler, but look at Elk. He's pushing forward. Elk is looking for all of this damage. He's going for it. Breen jumps in. Double kill, triple kill. WE are not out of this just yet.
Team WE turned it around, and there's a Baron on the Rift too. They have a Ryze, they have a Vayne. They are going to port straight on over to it. Team WE are back in it.
Honestly, this looked completely over for the side of WE, but punishing RNG for wanting everything on the map, wanting to play towards Baron, wanting to play towards Dragon, WE committed and they come out ahead.
RNG got lazy. They got complicit. They thought they had the run of the map. They thought they had total control. WE fully commit to making sure they do not lose this Dragon, and it was a great call.
Oh, it's just a cataclysmic throw from RNG. You know, they're on the Baron or on the Drake first, but they don't have a jungler here. Ming's not in the area. They think they're just strong enough, but all this setup doesn't really accomplish much. Cryin uses ultimate onto an Olaf, which does some damage. He's going to end up falling, but it's not the lockdown to set up for the rest of the team. Frankly, Lee Sin and Nautilus just way too late to the party, and Vayne had so much time to free fire.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? You saw the 2 carries off to the right side in Gala and Cryin. line. The two like pseudo frontliners in Ming and Wei not even there. Xiaohu getting bursted out before anyone could join, and WE punished. Now they do have those strong soul laners that we were talking about. Now especially this Vayne getting a bit more gold in their pocket could be quite strong.
That was the big thing as well. You see how quickly Breathe and Elk committed to flashing over the wall. Oh, never mind. We're going to find someone cut in the mid lane. Elk, no QSS. You did not pay the tax man, and they're taking you down.
Way clean on the Lee Sin, finding a way through the enemy jungle, and RNG back on form after a huge misstep there, giving Team WE a way back into the game. They're walking up mid, and you have a Voidling here if they want to hit this tower. Wave not far behind.
This is a Ziggs. You can take this so incredibly quickly, and with topside pushing as well, you need Shanks. You have no wave clear. You need Shanks to commit back to the team, but never mind. It's a 4v3 in this topside as the Tahm Kench goes down. Beishang forced to ult to go away. RNG, you thought you threw it away. You thought they had it all, but they are just too damn quick and too damn aggressive. But Shanks, he's looking for a base race.
No, but he's going to have to go back because RNG have so many members in the base. I just love how willing RNG are for pulling the trigger and finding these picks. They get two inhibs, and once again, we're back with RNG in control.
Oh my word, RNG just completely throw. They give Team WE a team fight win, a dragon, a baron, everything. It's all of a sudden back to a pretty close game, but Wei's like, nah, it's fine. He finds the way in, picks off Elk, and just completely explodes the game. I mean, watch his path into this. They do see him. Shockingly, I didn't even catch that the first time around, but Elk is just...
Hey, you know he's there!
But there's a tower right behind you, buddy. There's so many things that could have gone better there. Elk just way too far forward, and once you're in the base, setting up the dives with no Vayne on the enemy side, all too easy.
We're going to have to come back to live, though, very, very quickly. We can see there the Lee Sin being chased down here by Shanks. The Everfrost goes down. They donate that one over to Elk. It's not a game of League of Legends. It's volleyball.
He doesn't have a team on that side of the map either.
It's
so crazy, right? He's the one who brought it back. He's the one who just found the pick, and now gives it right back to W.
Yeah, when you catch the ball, you got to throw it back. That's the way this game goes. You got to throw it either side.
This is League of Legends, not baseball.
We can see the replay on the screen there, and it's just, honestly, you're just juking each other out and saying where you're going to go, but it's straight up just Wei in the wrong side of the map at the wrong time.
I don't know if maybe it was like stealing Krugs before this or something, or like
capitalized.
Like no one was pushing over there like Ender said, so I'm not quite sure what they were looking for. But WE now, they are just continuing to utilize the split push coming out from the Ryze. They're using Breathe to continue to group with the team and kind of be this siege element to hit on the enemy. And at least now for WE, I do think they have an avenue through to play out the game and actually fight back. They're not that far behind in gold, less than 3,000 at this point.
I mean, 3 items on pretty much all of their carries' levels are going to be even. Actually, Shanks is level 17 compared to Cryin's level 15. That's going to be a big advantage for Team W heading into this next fight. Again, if you can protect a Ryze and Vayne in the backline, Team WE poses a serious threat.
I think that's the big thing now. This will put you on soul point. 3 arms in the Jayce. His poke is going to be massive, but it's definitely nothing to be sniffed at on the side of RNG. You've got the 3.5 items here for the Ziggs, and of course 3.5 items coming out for the malzahar. You get caught out, you're in a lot of trouble. RNG have control around this dragon pit, and with 2 inhibitors down, I feel like WE just don't have the pressure.
It's going to be so important for Team W. They don't necessarily have to fight over this Drake, but they might just want to. And with this composition, with their damage dealers being so single target, it's all about isolating members of RNG, splitting up the fight. That's what the role of someone like Beishang is going to be, diving into the back lines. No Baron on the Rift just yet, and Team W are going to back away.
Yeah, I feel like that's so depressing for W, right? If a Baron, so you can try and call their bluff, try and bring them up on the Baron and make sure they don't get the Dragon. Again, it's not the end of the world. RNG will be on soul point. You're still going to get gold on some of your key carries. It's nice to see that RNG have defaulted back to playing as his 5-man core, because it feels like for the past few minutes that RNG have just kind of been a bit disconnected, right? They've been playing by themselves. They've been trying to take too much all across the map, but now they're going back to this like death ball composition, trying to play front to backs where they would excel.
Yeah, they try to go to TPs, but I do believe that WE are ready and waiting. But Dredgeline does land onto Missing. He does end up getting caught up and knocked up. Does have the great skin to keep himself alive. Actually just finished up his Locket of the Iron Solari, so able to keep himself alive with the shield. Look how low his health bar is, but now a 3rd inhibitor has gone down. RNG have completely left the base in tatters.
Yeah, RNG have turned it double super minions every single wave now, with all 3 inhibitors down 50 seconds away from the Baron 2. So RNG can back it up, can play for that objective, regain control, but Team W just fighting.
They're going straight in with the Realm, but they're trying to find themselves a fight. Beishang there with the Ragnarok to keep himself safe and not CC. The flash throw. Xiaohu though has the Cyclone. He's going to go in. Elk goes on top of him. They only get 1 kill. They're forcing the flash away from Cryin. It's Jayce Jayce goes down. It's a trade of 1 for 2, 2 for 2. They're trying to go this one now. It's top laners and support's dead. But the triple kill here for Elk. He's hunting. He's fighting for more. But there's already super minions on the base.
Yeah, but so WE are forced to TP back to answer this one. Still, WE were able to find some kills. They're able to get some gold back. It's not the end of the world, but these super minions are going to do so much. Look at the base.
Look at the base, but look at the TP coming in now. Elk and Beishang do not have the damage. They do not have the way of getting away if Cryin was able to land any CC. Wasn't able to get it. WE survived.
Team WE making the split-second decision there. We're just porting in all 5 players. And because Xiaohu was on the flank, Team WE just said, let's just keep pushing forward, like completely ignore him, get Elk onto the front line dealing damage, and the Wukong can't jump onto you. Still though, Baron is back onto the Rift, and because of the supers inside WE's base, they weren't able to go ahead and rush that.
Yeah, sad for them. I still love this play coming out, like you said, under being the aggressors of the situation. They know some health bars were still low. We did highlight Xiaohu on the flank, but still, we saw Beishang running forward, getting numerous members down. Even Breathe playing off to the side, getting a lot of key accelerated shot blast. Sadly, the malzahar damage not able to take down Elk. Comes out from that one. The Immortal Shield Bow shield is popped, and then it does look like WE were able to come out with a slight advantage, but now we're at the Baron.
This is where it becomes so difficult for WE. Again, it's RNG in the pit first. It's RNG with all the pit tools to turn off the objective to zone Beishang away from the pit. There's no flash on the Olaf, and there's no thresh on his team either.
There's no thresh this time around, and it's going to be a Baron down, but it's not a very quick Baron. You don't have a natural AD carry, so it's taking a little bit of time. TP going to be committed here, and the Baron has been disengaged from. RNG know that they just have to play the timer. They have a huge wave in bot side. Both teams just poking, prodding, pushing to see if they can find an advantage. Great satchel charge to disengage. Beishang already taken down to below about a third of his HP. Sterex has been popped as well. Missing, used the locket. Bot side's got double super minions, Ender.
The supers are so crucial. WE have to go back. They have to give up the Baron. It almost feels like they've been chunked out so much. They have to get a reset off on Beishang as well. He can't get into the pit. The Baron goes to RNG.
Yep, we're going to see Breathe can go for some kind of miracle steal with the accelerated shot glass, but not going to be able to do it. RNG will pick this one up, and man, I love this, right? I feel like we see so many LPL teams who don't have the patience to look for these plays, who aren't going to wait for the wave to, push the enemy out, rely on the poke diff from the Ziggs, and then get the guaranteed objective. But RNG are the team who are able to make these combo decisions, who are able to make the smarter map plays. Now RNG can look to get wave set up for the Dragon in about a minute and 30 seconds.
And you're looking at this team with a Baron buff, the safety you're able to get, and again, back to what we talked about, W having such a short range composition, it makes it so difficult for them to try and defend this while also trying to deny Soul Point.
Everything on the line here for WE. Already down 1-0 in the series. A world spot on the line. Their season continuing on the line too. And Team WE, we thought they were completely out of it 10 minutes ago. Had a critical team fight around the Drake where they were able to claw their way back in. But it has still been backs against this wall this entire time. Infernal Soul is going to be spawning onto Rift oh so soon. And it comes down to whether or not WE can keep Elk and Shanks alive. As well as their base. It's 3 different things for them.
I think lucky for them, right, those other 2 inhibitors are back up. I'm curious to see how WE try and walk into their bottom side jungle, how they try and get into the river, right? Because RNG, I think, such a crucial time to get the Baron buff, to give them even more wave control on the map, get these waves pushed in. We can see they already have full vision control of bottom side. They even have a wave pushing up and top. So for WE, they're going to have to be a bit clever. We can see them trying to funnel down through the bottom lane right now. You do have the Realm Warp available, and there can be some tricky ways for W to find fights.
Key summoners available or not available for this fight. Elk does not have his flash, but does have a QSS and a stopwatch. He's got a couple of ways of keeping himself alive, but it's all about where you get the priority targets. If Elk can continue putting down those silver bullet procs, this could be desperate for the side of RNG.
He just bought all of that right before this fight too. He knows it is do or die right now. Dragon is on to the Rift. Let's fight.
Here we go. Dragon has been spawned. It is going to be a denial from WE or Soul for RNG. The poke is coming down and Beishang down below half. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb bringing him down and popping his Sterex. He's lost a lot of his tankiness in this fight. We can see just so much damage coming down. They're going to use the Realm Warp. They're going to put Beishang on the backside.
What?
He goes in to die, and that's the rest of it. Cyclone comes in, missing, next to follow. You can see Shanks, though, picking off the Ziggs, and they're going to be able to get the stopwatch out of Elk. He used the QSS. He's trying to back away. He's got his immobile shield bow, but he cannot survive. The Sonic Wave lands, and RNG clean up a clean ace, and they'll end the game.
I'm just so confused by WE. I said you could use the Realm Warp in clever ways, not sending in your 10% HP Olaf, Enter.
What are they doing? They throw it all all on the line. RNG will go up to match point 2-0 against Team WE. RNG, they had some missteps in the mid game, but at the end, they figured out how to give no room to Team WE. Group up as fight. Do not allow yourself to be isolated away. That's how they come away with it, and Team WE plays straight into them.
And RNG now 2-0 in the matchup. They've got themselves one step away from a ticket to Worlds as the third seed from the LPL. WE, they had a good mid game, but they still just weren't enough, and they're looking like they're going to go down into another series. They're going to have to play another best of 5 if they can't crawl it back.
Yeah, and we need to remember, right, if WE do go down, it took them 5 games to beat RA in their playoff series. So, you know, WE looking good coming in as a higher seed to this, but I still don't think any guaranteed favorites in this regional run. This game, though, almost reminded me of that first game of RNG versus LNG, right? RNG having such a good run, they almost throw everything away by being a bit too greedy. They think they can cover Baron while pushing top, while also taking Dragon at the same time. But in the end, luckily they were able to pull it through. But again, we saw a bit of catch going back and forth, especially from Wei this game.
Exactly, right? Like, Wei had the insane pick after they lose the fight, and then is just running into the top side jungle. We were in a replay, so I'm still not exactly sure what the logic was, if there was logic.
We'll
but the end of it, we'll never know. But at the end of the day, I feel like if there's anything this game proved for me still, it's that even with throwing, even with mid-game carelessness, RNG just looks so much stronger today. The fact that they were able to pull it back together, that they figured out exactly how to shut down Team WE's chances of winning, because the only fights WE were winning is when RNG were like looking for flanks, looking for dives. If they just deathball and play with a malzahar and Ziggs poke, there's not much that WE can do.
That was the thing, right? Was just their map play overall was so much better. They didn't really give WE any breathing room. I think mechanically and like in teamfights, WE were all right. The problem is just where we were at in the game, they really had no avenues, right? Their soul laners were too far behind. Their Vayne especially was just pretty much taken out of the game. And now looking at game 3, it's going to be rough for WE. You've already kind of come in with 2 completely different drafts. You went like full-on early game death ball composition in game 1. You took like a more side lane oriented route in game 2, and now it's like, hey, what's left in game 3? Maybe, again, the poke and siege we were hitting on earlier can come out, but then again, I feel like RNG's just adapted to this meta so well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said, like, you know, WE's gone for different compositions. RNG stuck to roughly the same composition, yet they swapped the Gala out for the Malzahar, but keeping that Wukong, getting that engage, having 2 engage kind of champions, the Ziggs being such a huge priority pick to make sure that Gala can stay safe and keep wave clearing.
I think Ziggs has to go. The rest of the picks, they're good, right?
Yeah.
They're good for RNG, but they're not just game-breaking. Ziggs ult, game-breaking. Ziggs
Busted
shutting down your side
champion.
up. Completely absurd. I don't care if your Vayne had some good team fights later on. That does not erase the 10k gold lead that RNG was able to get in the early game off the Ziggs.
Yeah, again, it just changes the dynamic of the game that's being played, and that dynamic suits RNG.
Yeah, it really, really does. We'll see if WE are able to change anything in their game 3 draft, or if RNG will